All right, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. This is Robbie at Smirking Gun Reviews. We got cut off at the end of my Dark Phoenix review, so I uploaded the first part and decided to continue on with more on a part two. Won't be as long, I don't think, but I got myself one of my X-Men shirts on. I'm ready to keep going because another thing I wanted to talk about. So full spoilers in this one too is what was up with the thing on her face? Like, why do they always have to represent power by like showing like stupid ass glowy stuff? You know, she walked around like a normal person in almost of the comics. It wasn't unless she really wanted it known that she did it. But it's always, we got to know like the difference between Jean and the Phoenix. And that's just another thing that just irritated me. Also the fact that there's no arcs for like anybody. Who had arcs in this series when you go back and think about it? She was basically just, I don't know what I'm doing. And that's the other thing. She had the Phoenix Force at the end of fucking Apocalypse. So what the actual fuck? We didn't even need to go to space. They just were like, oh shit, we forgot. We forgot she's supposed to get it in space. We couldn't just make her a really powerful telepath who had a moment, you know. So her arc is just to become the Phoenix and be bland, whatever. Quicksilver, what's his arc? Anybody? Anyone? Storm, what does she have? What did she have as an arc? Mystique's arc, well, look at that face. She's, even in a picture, they can't make her look like she wants to be there. Cyclops, what was his arc? To be the guy who doesn't really rescue the damsel in distress, more like shouts her name so that she's like, what? Oh, yeah, that's right, I like you for some reason. Even though we have no chemistry. They had no chemistry. That was some of the worst. That must be what it's like for her to kiss her husband. Oh my God, I'm sorry. I'm very sorry. That just, I heard it in my head and I just let it come out because fuck it, right? I don't care. These two people, Dreadlock guy with the blades. Does anybody remember the new updated Bionic Commando game that came out probably about 10 years ago or so? And the guy had these like dreads with like, oh, that's what he reminded me of. Hank McCoy, what it was his arc other than I love Raven. And so, boom, you know, once she's dead, I want to kill Jean, because that's what the Beast would do. One of the smartest guys in the world would just go on a vengeful thing. He's never... Hank McCoy has had some crazy times, but he's never just been like, fuck, I'm going to kill Jean Grey. They've all had their moments like, what do we do about this? And okay, so McAvoy's thing was basically live long enough to see, it's like the end of Dark Knight. Almost literally too, because here's Charles, he's at the end, might as well be in France. I think he is in France, isn't he? And him and friggin' Magneto meet up and are like, hey, you want to have one last chess game? Because this is how it should go out on the two classiest guys in the movie, right? It's not the kids and the students and Jean and what this all was about as they close the chapter. I mean, I guess it's kind of fitting, and I did like the scene. But their arcs was what? They just go, hey man, you saved my life a long time ago, now I'm going to give you like a place to live too. But they really didn't like solve anything for anybody, and Charles is pushed out. What's he going to do? The most powerful telepath. He's like... So... After all is said and done, and nobody's, you know, we're just kind of it just ends. And nobody died except for the lady who wanted out of the series. And Jessica Chastain. So, oh God, okay, so let's talk about Jessica Chastain. If she wasn't going to be Emma Frost, right? And they just make her just this vessel or whatever. I mean, like they took her, you know, it looked like her. And that's it. Just, we have power. We come from these like weird, they had an opportunity to do something crazy and they made it aliens. Now in the comic when she gets the Phoenix Force, it becomes this whole thing with Lalandra and her whole race, and Charles getting involved, and the M'Kraan crystal that's all this about, and the reason she has it, Jean has it, is because she can take the thing into the sun and destroy it. And then that's when the Phoenix Force comes back, and like she becomes, Dark Phoenix, so anyway, God, I started babbling so much that I almost forgot what I was talking about. So okay, so we're talking about Jessica Chastain. What was her real point? And some people hate her, some people like her, some people think she's Bryce Dallas Howard. But I think she's a fine actress. I think she is. And it's just like she's just wasted here. She's so emotionless. This is a paycheck movie for her. This is like, I do this, I can afford to take the Oscar roles for a while. You know what I mean? The kids aren't going to starve. So the actual antagonists were just nothing. And it makes me wonder, like, is this the last time we see the Dark Phoenix or the Phoenix in general put on screen? And honestly, I mean, I just feel like it should just be done, because I don't think we're ever going to get anybody that gave a shit about it like the original source material or the animated series. And honestly, why isn't this getting, like, why aren't those getting re-released on like Blu-ray? Again, like just separated like as one thing, the Phoenix and Dark Phoenix saga. Maybe it's rights and stuff like that, but it would help a lot of people who don't like this or want to know the story. They can just get it like that. Or where the hell is X-Men the Animated Series on streaming services? You'd think it would be on one of them. But I mean, here they're talking about doing the Marvel movie is going to be what, the Eternals, right? Or the Externals. These ancient mutants that started all. And I know that Rob Jefferson from Comic Explained was all excited about this, but I just think that that's just too much. It's just too much. And so I think, in my opinion, the X-Men should just be a really well-produced TV show. Like hour-long TV show, like 10 to 13 episodes a season, leading up to a movie. And since you can change casts with the X-Men over time, if you want to start with the classic Scott, Jean, Bobby, Hank, and Warren, respectively, Cyclops, Marvel Girl, Iceman, Angel, and Beast, you could make like a 10 to 13 first season, where they get like a well-produced show that doesn't skimp on like on the effects and the story because it's on TV. Like do it on like even Disney streaming service could do this, and it would build up to a movie that you release that summer. So you could have like a show come out in like the fall and run into like spring, and then in the summertime you'd have this movie, this event where it could be them versus Magneto in the like real big fight or whatever. And then they could do it again, and they could start introducing slowly but surely, the second team, with Colossus and Nightcrawler and Storm and Wolverine. And, I don't know if they'd put Sunfire in there. I don't know if they'd have to do the Thunderbird story. They would just have to. But I mean, and then build up to another movie. This one could even be like, the transition between teams, and just keep going like that for a while, and I honestly, I think when you get that, you could also then separate the original team, put them in X Factor. You'd have more, if they're always so concerned about the money machine, then Disney should be using us as examples. Because if this nerd stuff isn't going to go away, like I kind of wish it would, so that it would just be ours again and not, homogenized. I know it's never going to happen, but you know what I'm saying. Like I said in the last video, I wish kind of that we were outsiders again, but I think, if they really wanted the money train to keep rolling, they would use us as assets. I know that for every couple of people that make sense, there's like 1,000 people that don't. But I know what I'm talking about. I know that that would work. And you could have a rotating cast because there's always more characters. And if you just get them at the right time and you pace it out right, you could have like seasons of movies, shows that would build up a audience at home that would go to the theater, because we all know that the theaters are on their way out for the most part, and that these will be the movies that are at the theater. It's just a reality that we got to face, and that sucks. And I'm sure there'll still be some mom and pop places, but whatever. Places that people could make and show things, but that's not what we're here to talk about. So if that's the direction they're headed, then why not take advantage of it? But I know what they're going to do. I mean, if they're going through with this Externals movie, then they're just going to take, you know how long it would take for them to get to the Phoenix Saga, depending on where they're going to even start it? You know, because I'm assuming they're going to go to the original team and start right from the ground up. So by the time let's say they do a trilogy of those movies, do you know how long it would take for us to even be introduced to fucking Wolverine? Do you think they want to wait that long? I don't know. And if they're going to do that, then we're really back where we started. And even though it's in Marvel's hands, they're still going to feel like the need to jump storylines and rush storylines. So in that respect, I do feel like, why even have a Dark Phoenix movie? We've got the cartoon, we've got the books, we've got the source material. There's plenty of smaller stories that they can do that aren't so epic and grand. This is like fucking doing Lord of the Rings, man. Like, each of those damn things were 3 hours long. So like 9 hours, it would take at least 6, I think, hours of television to do this right, at least. And for movies, you need build up, and the medium of movies isn't, with the way that they have contracts for actors and how people get older, as they make these movies, it can't take 20 years to make the Phoenix Saga. So it's just, I feel like it's been done. And if they want to just move on and hit other classic beats throughout, there are so many things to do and events that can cross over with other characters like Inferno or Acts of Vengeance, all sorts of stuff. And so I think it's time to say the Dark Phoenix Saga, the Phoenix Saga in general, for movie audiences is gone, unless they do it kind of like what I'm talking about. I'm sure that they could also do animated lead-ups to things to set stories up. I've said that in the past. If you want to explain some of this stuff to people, run origin story animation. Play a little animated 15-minute cartoon that explains, a bit of the history in a tongue-in-cheek way of the X-Men or something like that. I don't know. Or have videos on YouTube from Marvel that are building up to telling the story of the X-Men or where they want the story to go. But it's just, nobody ever does all that. It's just, that's too much work. We don't really care about all that material. So it's just, and that's me talking for them. But I do think, and I'm not as cynical as I usually can be or pessimistic, but I do think that what we've got ahead of us, as far as the X-Men franchise goes, I think that we can finally, once this is all done with Fox and their movies, and whether you like them or not, because I still like some of them, I'll still, I kind of feel like watching X-Men Days of Future Past tonight, but I'm not going to because I got stuff to review. But, look at that, man. That's just tight. So I don't know. I think that's where I probably should end it all here. And wow, it sounded like I was committing suicide. But I really do hope that everybody watched part 1. I hope you enjoy, and I hope you came back for this video, even though it's not, maybe as necessary. But I just felt like if I'm going to talk about this, I want to talk about this and be done talking about it. For now, anyway. Maybe we'll talk about X-Men the Animated Series on another video, but. Anyway, yeah, it's just a shame that that's how this all played out. And there's a good X-Men Phoenix movie out there, but it's just going to take a lot of work and people to care about it. And unless there's somebody out there who cares about it and is suave enough and knows how to work the system to get it done, This is about as good as you can get, and honestly, it's pretty damn good. Even if some of the characters were never involved, like Rogue and Gambit. Well, I know Gambit for sure wasn't involved in it, but they made it work. They made it work, even though characters and things weren't really happening all the way through like it happened in the books. And they still made it work on a 90s cartoon show. So anyway, if you liked the second part of this review, please hit the like button, comment, share, subscribe, all that jazz. You can find me on Twitter at yesh8.com. What the fuck? Yesh8, YESSHH8. If you want to hit me up there, or you can always message me there. Otherwise, this is Rob at Smirking Gun Reviews saying we'll be back later with more stuff. Have a great night.